All right, hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to Talkin Investing. You got Tom, you got George. I'm going to let him explain himself today, and you got a green day. Today is our day, so enjoy. 2024 is over. 2025 has begun. This is a day we haven't seen in ages. So we're going to go through. There's a couple companies that put out their monthly operational report. We got some other news. I got a bunch of new charts that I did per viewers' requests. So we got a lot coming at you. But first, if I could ask everybody to smash the like button, please. We're at 22 likes. Let's get people here and get people excited in Bitcoin miners and Bitcoin.
It's always funny. So I'm going to stream on TikTok at the same time. And what's so funny about it, it's like you go live and it says, here are the things. Gaming, chat, live match, daily. Nothing to do with freaking changing your life in crypto or Bitcoin miners. None of that. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, no, they don't want you doing any of that.
I'm going to do chat and interview.
So we got up. Did we get to 99,000 today? We got to 98 according to, I'm looking at the TradingView Bitcoin Coinbase chart. So that's the chart that I have used all along. And we got to 98,969. So almost to $99,000 today. I think we're ready to get to 100. Sour Melon Gaming's laughing at Bitfarms report. I'm going to go through Bitfarms report. I'm going to go through Marathon's report. I got a different opinion. You guys can vote. You can vote me off the island.
You always have a different opinion, Tom.
Well, that's true. All right, we got 30 likes. Come on, help us out. If you're here, if you're willing, if you're ready, smash the like button, and let's get some people over here.
So, Tom.
Yes.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. And what a new year it is. So I have the week-to-date chart, which includes part of 2024. But I also have the year-to-date chart, which is now we get to press the reset button, start over. So that's really just Thursday and Friday. And wait till you see the year-to-date chart. So let's hope it is a sign of things to come. And just so let's just start it off and talk about it. I mean, we were green. The 12 Bitcoin miners that we follow plus Microstrategy's 13. Now there's a bunch below here on this chart on the right. You can see these are the micro cap, nano cap stocks that we're not following anymore. But of the largest market cap Bitcoin miners, Marathon, they were up 14% today. So here's something that hasn't happened in ages. We have been, and I think it's important to remember this day and to appreciate this day while it's happening because, you know, we probably had 100 times, and I may be exaggerating, but not by much, where, you know, in 2024, we were not getting leverage. When Bitcoin went up, the Bitcoin miners were not getting that leverage play to the upside. But when Bitcoin went down, they were getting the leverage play to the downside. And I know we all complained about it all year long. Well, here's a day Bitcoin was up 1.07%. Marathon was up 14%. Cleanspark, 14%. Riot, 18%.
Riot was up 18%, Tom?
17.97%.
Oh, my goodness.
HUT, up
wow.
10%. Cypher, 15%. Bit Digital, 18%. Microstrategy took off in the afternoon, up 13%.
Wow, that's a great day.
So, you know, it looks weird. Something like, let's say, for instance, iron was up 8.4%. And you might look at that and go, man, I kind of got ripped off today on iron. Well, Bitcoin was up 1%. So even the ones that lagged behind today were up basically 7 or 8%. On the day. So this is the best day we've had for Bitcoin miners in many, many, many months.
Why don't you take a look at the alts and see how they did? Do you have that chart or no?
Can go press refresh. So we got today, Ethereum was up 4.8%. See,
Thanks,
and Bitcoin wasn't really, up huge. Bitcoin was up 1%. Ethereum 4.8, XRP 3%, almost 13% in the last week. Solana was up 5%. Dogecoin was up 13%, 21 in the last week. Cardano. So these started to run again. As you guys know, these all took a break. They took a pause. They pulled back. There was some good buying opportunities. And I'm not convinced the buying opportunities are over. The altcoin season, I think, still has not yet begun. But you see some good performance here in the last 24 hours. But
I would say, the end of this month to the beginning, maybe even end of February even.
Yes. I would point out, even with good action on the altcoins, for once, the Bitcoin miners did even better than that. So we got now, it's 2 days. So 2 days does not a trend make just yet. Miner Deegan said, look at Riot. The volume was 39 million. So that's something, I'm glad you pointed that out, Miner. Because Riot had a little bit of a high volume. This was not a short squeeze. This was not a super high volume day. Marathon was the outlier. It did have a little bit higher than usual volume. A lot of the other ones had normal volume or below normal volume. So it's not like this. This was not, I don't think this is a one-off. I don't think we're going to get this every day all year. Obviously, we get special days like today, but I do think this is a sign of 2025. And I have one particular article that I'm going to go through that is, I think, the most aggressive prediction for a group of stocks I've ever seen in my life, and it's the Bitcoin mining stocks in 2025. So we'll get to that article later.
So guys, I'm on TikTok right now too. If anybody want to look me up over there, see if you can find me. George, I don't even know if they can hear you and hear me. Well, I'm sure they can.
Let's ask. Can everybody hear George? If you can drop in the chat, if you can hear George, we're assuming you can hear myself and George, and see. You should see me, and George is in disguise in order to do TikTok and what we're doing at the same time. Apparently, George had to pick a mask.
So should we tell people what we talked about today, Tom, or no?
Yeah.
It's probably because all I'm eating is a cow. No, I think we should be very vague about that. I think what we have to do, unfortunately, on the stream, guys, I think that we cannot really talk about pricing and what we think pricing is going on Bitcoin and crypto, just so you guys know. If you want to know that, you need to become a member. Because becoming a member, I think we can be more,
We share more with the smaller group. Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
Because here's the thing, the spy, China is spying on the stream. Because what's happening is we figured it out. Tom's been in some type of YouTube jail for the last, what would you say, Tom?
Oh, it's been all 2024, really. Well, the second half of 2024 for sure.
Yeah, so think about this. Ever since the run on XRP, the run in Bitcoin, Tom's been in a very we've been potted down, and it's just the message is not getting out.
Even this stream right now, this stream is much smaller than the last 5 streams in a row.
Right, and there's a reason why, is because they know what's getting ready to happen.
With that, I would ask everybody to please hit the like button and see if we can get to at least a normal stream today here. This is one of the great days of all time, and we got one of our smallest streams ever, which kind of goes to our discussion we had at lunch.
Yeah, it kind of does. It's really sad, but it's. I have a feeling it's bigger than we think, and you know what I mean? Because we're down here where the hedge fund dudes live, and they know what they're doing. I watch private jet after private jet after private jet land. That gas is expensive, guys.
Oh,
I mean,
Running
ahead.
Yote said he never got an invite for the last stream. I'm going to send out a community post right now.
Yeah.
Let everybody know we're streaming. Because it seems like people aren't getting notified.
It is funny to see, you know what I mean? It's funny to see that people no information unless you pay, George. The like button is good. It's not enough for you. No, it's not that. What we want to do is give very vague information without, so that it doesn't look like we're giving what we believe is going to happen. Tom and I, Tom more than me, have been so committed to this space, and I think the pain comes when they know that things are going to, do very well. When you're going to have 5X's, 6X's, maybe even 10X's. I mean, I think of one company real quick where it's going to be, it's probably going to do a 10X relatively quick. And, so what they do is they keep everybody guessing, they keep shorting it, but eventually it has to turn, because you can't have Bitcoin get, basically at 100,000, right? Without it, going crazy. Did you send that out, Tom?
I just sent that out, and now I've lost my way. I'm trying to get back to where I belong here. Pardon me, guys, while I got, okay, got there. All right. Okay, so I just sent out another notification. Let's see if anybody can get here and talk with us. So in the meantime, Sour Melon Gaming said we're jinxing the heck out of the Bitcoin miners, and that's kind of what George is talking about.
Yeah.
There's big money that moves these small stocks around. And they are looking for full and complete capitulation from the retail investor. Now, when I show you what happened in the month of December, I think you're going to see they achieved that. So that's why I do think we're going to start to run. But you don't even want to, you're right, you don't even want to say it out loud, because, you don't even want to let them know you're excited about it, or they're just going to dump them again. So, and I know, it's just, obviously, there's thousands of channels out there talking about Bitcoin, especially, and there's a bunch of people talking about the Bitcoin miners. But I do think I want to go straight to the one article that I found that, here's a third party. Okay. Bitcoin set for, quote, significant bull market. Analyst targets $225,000. But that's not really the part of this that I want to talk about, because they get into the Bitcoin miners. So let's get here. This is H.C. Wainwright on Thursday. Wrote that it expected Bitcoin to reach $225,000 per coin by the end of 2025. That's up from its prior forecast of $145,000. This from the Fly reported. So they've raised their price target for Bitcoin based on everything that happens. The firm cited the historical price cycle of Bitcoin, recent price action, the broad expectations for a more favorable regulatory environment under the incoming administration as drivers for the digital assets industry in 2025. But they then say, Wainwright wrote that that sets the stage for a significant bull market for Bitcoin and crypto miners this year. So right there. And crypto miners this year. The firm estimates the total market cap for Bitcoin miners will exceed $100 billion in 2025. So as things got cooking back in November, we had a little bit of a run. And the Bitcoin miners made a run. They were approaching $40 billion as a group. and there was a bunch of articles written about it, and, they pulled back substantially. So if I go, I have my own numbers that I'm calculating, but I'm going to show you third-party numbers. This is Farside Investing. They have the Bitcoin miners market cap at $32 billion right now, which means that H.C. Wainwright is predicting for the entire group a 3x in 2025. So I don't think I've ever seen an analyst come out and say, just forget one stock. They think as a group, the group is going to 3x in 2025. So, that's not me. That's not George. That's H.C. Wainwright. Now they're knee deep in the Bitcoin mining universe. So, they're no stranger to these companies. Wainwright lists, I want to read further, because this surprised me. With the pure plays to outperform, mining stocks are seen once again outperforming Bitcoin in 2025 as fundamentals improve for the group. Now, we're 2 days into 2025, so I think it's a little bit too soon to start extracting data and saying this is a new trend. But, hey, listen, we'll take the 2 good days, and they're predicting there's more of that to come, and they're predicting the pure plays, which underperformed dramatically in 2024, are going to outperform in 2025. And for those of you who are members, we've been talking about that for the last 2 months. Is there opportunity in some of these stocks that literally are red when we look that were red in 2024 when Bitcoin was up over 100%? Some of the Bitcoin miners were down. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here. That's what I would say. We've got H.C. Wainwright basically saying they think the Bitcoin miners as a whole are going to pull a 3x. And Microstrategy to 3650 is saying the miners 3x on a Bitcoin 2.5x is the same garbage dumpster. So, okay, that's a negative way to look at it if you want to say, well, then just invest in Bitcoin. And some of you might do that, and I know some of you are already doing that. And I also think there will be winners and losers, just like we saw in 2024. So if you pick the right stock, maybe the group's going to go up 3x. But if you pick the right stock, is there a 5x or a 6x or a 7x out there somewhere? What do you think, George?
I think there is. I think that what is funny about it is, somebody wrote in there, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was, about the last 2 months of 2024 were brutal for Bitcoin miners.
So I'm going to show, I have the month of November and the month of December. I will show those later. I'm sorry for interrupting.
And we knew that was coming because we just, we got 17 more days until we have a new person in office. And, they're going to do whatever they can to try to stop it, I'm sure. But I don't see how they can in the United States. And I think once that happens, I think then, I just feel very confident about Bitcoin right now.
Well, let me go to an article that speaks right to that, George. So today, Trump-backed Mike Johnson reelected Speaker of the House. And I got this off of CoinDesk. So why is this important? The Louisiana Republican is considered a strong supporter of the crypto industry. So that is the majority Speaker of the House is now a strong supporter of the cryptocurrency industry. That is a dramatic change. That's a fundamental change in what has been going on over the last 4 years. So forget whatever your politics are. I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. Right here, we're Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining investors. So we're trying to look at all the information and say, how's that going to affect our investment? And this is definitely been viewed as a very positive thing. And it's one of the reasons you can see H.C. Wainwright cited it right in there, where that we're going to be moving into a much more favorable regulatory environment, they say. So, you know, this was one of the hurdles that had to happen. A Speaker of the House needed to be appointed, and now that is done. And it's a person who's very pro crypto. So, you know, these are good things we hope for our investments.
You want to hear something funny, Tom?
Yes.
You only have 2 accounts on TikTok.
What does that mean?
They're not you. They're just 2 fake accounts.
Oh, there's 2 fake me's
actually,
over there.
3, 4, yeah. Oh my
boy.
God, 5, 6.
Well, if you see me on TikTok, it's not me.
Isn't that crazy?
That is ridiculous.
I'm seeing if I can find myself on TikTok, which is funny. No more ATMs for Marathon. Unworthy of a mention, Tom and George. Does that mean, Tom, are they never going to do another ATM?
I'm going to go through. Marathon put out their monthly operational report. So we still haven't gotten to the details of Bitfarms and Marathon's monthly operational report. And there's a lot of good info in there. I've been talking about Marathon for the last couple of months. I've dollar cost averaged, you know, I took 2 full months off of buying anything. I bought nothing. When we were in that 7-month stretch of going sideways and kind of down, I took a few months off, and I considered all my positions full. I've told this story many times, but I did identify that I felt a few of these got to a point that were just so ridiculously low that I did a lot of dollar cost averaging when they beat these stocks up over the last few weeks, especially Marathon, in specific, Marathon, CleanSpark, Riot, Iron, Microstrategy, and Bitfarms are the ones that I dollar cost averaged into over the last couple of weeks. And the heaviest one out of all of those was Marathon. So we'll see how that pays off. But, you know, I think, so you look at these companies and go, man, they're up 14% today. But look, they're still at stupid numbers. To me, I see CleanSpark up 14% at $10.80. I said a month or two ago, anything under $12 is laughable for CleanSpark, in my opinion. By the way, they're done with their at-the-market offering and said they have no immediate plans to do another one. So no dilution coming from CleanSpark. They have a clear path. They already have the money to get to 50 exahash. By the way, we're going to see when we look at the Marathon. Marathon's already over 50 exahash right now. So I think Marathon is killing it. I think they had a great report. And we'll take a closer look at that report in the stream. Not too many people have reported. I thought we would get a lot more reports today, but I guess we're going to have to wait until Monday. Because I'm particularly curious to see, let me see if I can find. So there's 2 that reported. However, Core Scientific reports every single day on X, aka Twitter. So I just went to their December 31st. Here, let's go look at that. So Core Scientific, daily self-mining for the last reported 24 hours, the period ended December 31st, 2024. They mined 9.3 Bitcoin. That leaves them at 291 Bitcoin for the month. So that's what Core Scientific is doing. And I've been talking about the fact that they're going to continue to erode because they have really turned into a high-performance computing company. They haven't abandoned their fleet. They still have a very nice-sized fleet, but they're doing nothing to add to it. So you can see, if we go back to the chart, that's down 7% month over month. So they were down 15%. I don't know how these turned green, but these are the wrong color. So let me just make all these black. The wrong color right now. So Core Scientific in the last 2 months down 15% in November month over month, and then down 7% in December month over month. Now, the difficulty level keeps getting higher and higher, and they're basically running the same fleet. So this is what's going to happen to them. But the reason that I'm interested, I would like to see the rest of these reports. Bitfarms mined 211. They actually were up 3%. So that was a good part of the report. There were some good and some bad. Again, I'll talk about it. But I'm looking at Cypher. In November, Cypher mined 202 Bitcoin. I'm waiting to see, was that an outlier? Was that just a great result for them? Was that a one-off? Or, are they going to jump up the list? Are they going to, any small increase from that, and they're going to pass Bitfarms. So that would be very interesting to see. They have a very similar amount of exahash running. So I'm in particular looking for Cyphers because they're the one that could move up or down the list. And actually, there's another one that could move up or down the list. Iron could potentially pass Riot this month. So that's going to be very interesting as well. So I'm patiently waiting for these guys to put their numbers out because there could be some movement this month. You can see Marathon at 890 Bitcoin. They literally said, and it was funny because I was already thinking it. They have their own pool, so they run a little different than the rest of the other companies. There are months they get lucky, and there are months that they get unlucky. And that is just how mining Bitcoin works. It's literally luck is a major factor. And when you're in one of the big pools, you water down that luck because it's over such a massive, right? If you are in somebody else's gigantic pool, but they're in their own pool. So they're, actually 1 year ago, I'm going to go back because they got lucky the other way a year ago.
Yeah, especially when somebody moves
Look
a
at
large amount of coins.
In December 2023, they mined 1,853 coins. And then in January, back down to 1,000. So this was bookended by 1,000 on each side. So last December was the luckiest month they ever had. And this December, you know what? They got a little bit unlucky because they actually went up in exahash and they went down 2% in what they mined. It still was the second most amount of blocks they've ever mined in the history of their company. Last month, November, being the most amount of blocks they've ever mined. So, to me, Marathon is doing a lot of the right things.
Somebody wrote in the comments, what was it? It's better value right now on Marathon. You get more BTC per dollar from Marathon, and that includes all miners, than Microstrategy. Just a fact.
Yeah, Marathon went and bought a lot of Bitcoin, and they mine a lot of Bitcoin. Remember, they're in first place, so they hodl all their Bitcoin. And you can see in November they mined 907. Second place was 622, which was CleanSpark, which also hodls the vast majority of the Bitcoin, as does Riot. These top three are hodling. These are the three purest plays on Bitcoin, probably because they focus on Bitcoin, and CleanSpark straight up says they are Bitcoin only. They will allocate 0% of their resources to anything other than increasing their infrastructure and their fleet and their efficiency, etc. So that is the purest play on Bitcoin that you can get. But Marathon's a pretty much pure play. Riot's a pure play. There's some others, and they're all hodling Bitcoin. So you get that double play on it.
Do you think CleanSpark's going to beat Marathon or no? It's not looking too good.
No, they will not beat. Marathon is still going to be number one by a mile.
Yeah.
So Marathon's going to be number one by a mile. CleanSpark's going to be, and obviously unless something bizarre happened, CleanSpark is going to be number two and no one's going to be close. The real question is what's going to happen with Riot and Iron. So Riot was 100 Bitcoin ahead of Iron last month. I think there's a chance those two are going to be very competitive, in my opinion, when their reports come out. We'll just do for fun a super quick poll. So who do we think is going to win the battle, Riot or Iron? So Iron mined 379 in November. But if I scroll over here,
Riot.
you can see Iron jumped from October. They were at 21 exahash. At November, they were 28 exahash. Most of that came at the end of the month. So we know they've already told us they're at 31 exahash by the end of December. Riot's somewhere in that neighborhood. I think they were expecting to be at 34. So I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be very close between those two. But we will see. And disclosure, I own both of those. Not financial advice. I absolutely would not. Everybody needs to do their own due diligence. Obviously, neither George or myself.
It's nice to see Riot, though, take off like that today, because you've been pounding the freaking pavement on that one.
Yeah, I mean, Riot, it's a pretty rare day, and Bit Digital ended up under the wire beating them by a little bit, but basically Riot and Bit Digital were up 18% today. That's a gigantic day, and Riot's a much larger market cap, so that's a big move for them. But Marathon and CleanSpark are large market caps, so to be up 14% each, this was a really good day for Bitcoin miners. Now, hopefully, we're not sitting here and we have a bad weekend and this all gets erased on Monday. So we understand we don't know what the future is, but my only point is this: we felt the pain on all the bad days. So if we're going to feel the pain and suffering on the bad days, we ought to celebrate the good days when we get them. Obviously, we hope in the future there'll be more good than bad. If you're H.C. Wainwright, you think all these stocks are tripling.
Yeah, Tom was telling me about MicroStrategy.
So if the only thing I bought more of, and it's not a fair comparison, by far MicroStrategy is the thing I've bought the most over the last 2 months, but I had no position. So I built out what I now consider a full position in MicroStrategy over the last 2 months, and I got great, I was able to dollar cost average in down at $290. To put it in perspective, MicroStrategy did intraday. It hit about a month ago. It hit $543, and then almost simultaneously with that, a short report came out on it, and it crashed that day. So I think there's massive room to the upside. These short reports are oftentimes their effect is short-lived. So it feels like MicroStrategy up 13% today. It feels like everybody's back in, maybe back getting closer to business as usual. I'll go through this one in a minute. I jumped ahead of myself. If anybody can please, if you just got here or if you have not done so, if you could please hit the like button for us. It helps the stream out in real time in a big way. So we got 76 likes. We're going for 100 likes, and then we're going for 200 likes. We were getting 200 likes, so let's at least get to 100 here. We're at 76, so I appreciate it. We'll end this quick poll. Who mined more in December? So about 60-40, 59-41. People think Riot is going to beat Iron in December, but I do think it's going to be razor thin. That's what I think. I think it's going to be very close. And then I think in January, Iron will mine more than Riot. That's my opinion. So the volume here so this is MicroStrategy. Their average volume is 27.6 million. They were at 24.7. So, that's within the margin of error of an average trading day for them. So again, no short squeeze, nothing crazy. They're just up on regular volume. They're up 13%. So to me, that says all that downside from that short report, I feel like we're done with. And it's up from here. depending, obviously, if something happens to Bitcoin, that would be a different story. Thank you, Edmund. I appreciate it. I finally jumped on board the Edmund train with MicroStrategy.
Yeah.
It took me too long, but better late than never, because I still think there's a lot more ahead.
My two. Tom, would you like to know how the 10K challenge is doing?
Oh, well, I don't know how it's doing overall, because these stocks are still pretty low, but it should have had a really good day today.
I'm a little nervous. Here we go. Here we go. Hang on, I gotta put a code in. Dude, they're killing me with these codes now. You can't just sign in anymore. $4,587.
So what percent was it up today?
12%.
Yeah, so it takes us a long road back. But again, if you look at these, I'm looking at these numbers. Well, let's look at a couple of charts real quick. So I have BitDeer up because here's BitDeer at a new all-time high. So, they're doing their own thing. And when you see the December chart, it's going to jump off the page. It's insanity. BitDeer is the outlier. They have been on fire. This is their new all-time high daily close, over $26. But if we go to, if you go to CleanSpark, right? CleanSpark's at 10. CleanSpark had a huge day to get up to $10.80.
All right.
CleanSpark was at $24 in March of 2024. So, it's got to go up 150% just to get back to where it was last year. Clive, thank you very much for the super chat, and thanks for being a member. Happy New Year. I hold 403 Hive options at $1.18, strike point $4, January 2026. Confident this will be my top performer in 2025. So I'm with you, Clive. And we will go through, we'll do that next now that you mentioned it. Hive did not put out their monthly operational update, but they did put out a press release. I think it's worth going through. And when we look at their performance, over the last 2-year period, Hive has underperformed all the other Bitcoin miners. So I did that as well. I did a cycle bottom. Basically, I took every single Bitcoin miner's low during the crypto winter. So they were all on different dates. Most of them were in the last week of December 2022 versus Bitcoin's low, and Bitcoin had a double bottom in November and December of 2022. So I will show you that chart from the cycle low to where we are right now. If you measure from that perspective, Hive is in dead last place by a mile, and they have been very quietly doing a lot of good things. Yes, they are a smaller company than most of the other companies that we look at. The only company they're really bigger than is Bit Digital at this point, who I believe is kind of moving out of this space altogether. But let's go look at what Hive is saying. So this came out January 1st. Hive Digital Technologies achieves a milestone of 6 exahash. So that doesn't sound like a lot. I know everybody else is doing more than this. But you're going to see that's 47% year-over-year growth. But I'm going to drill down a little deeper than that. Not only did they grow 47%, they replaced almost every single one of the machines in their fleet. So their efficiency as a fleet is dramatically better than it was. So, they grew 47%. Now, a lot of companies did a lot better than that, right? It was the year of the halving. The difficulty level was going up. It took a lot to compete with Bitcoin this year. And a lot of companies grew a lot more than this, but they still grew. That's 47% growth, including switching out their entire fleet. So the company's anticipating reaching 15 exahash by the end of 2025 with a blended fleet efficiency of 17 joules per terahash. So, that's going to make them very competitive as far as fleet efficiency goes. 15 is still going to be one of the smaller companies, but, if you go to the market cap, even after having a couple of nice days in a row, this is only a $400 million market cap company. So, I think there's room to the upside for this company. I think they're doing good things. Yes, they're smaller. They're never going to be as big as Marathon, but you can still make money. They're very focused on. They also seem to be a company focused on managing their controls, being very efficient, both from a joules per terahash and from uptime of their fleet. So, I like Hive. I don't even own any Hive, but I do like Hive. And, I think they've been telling us nothing but good things, but just a little bit at a time. And, they've just been a little bit under the radar. So, Clive, I happen to agree with you. I think that should pay off nicely, in my opinion. Robert, thank you for the super chat. Can you check TEMA? It's been consolidating and looking ready to head up and cross all-time high. So we'll take a brief intermission, and for Robert, thanks for the super chat. We will check this out. So I don't know this company. I'm looking for, you can see very low trading volume. So I don't know. Oh, is this an ETF? Under normal circumstances, the fund seeks to achieve its investment objective by investing at least 80% of its assets for investment purposes, common and preferred, of publicly listed companies that are directly or indirectly economically tied to global electrification. The fund is non-diversified. So this is a global electrification fund. Apparently it's getting near its all-time high, but again, it's super low volume. But so thank you, Robert, for the super chat. This is Now, this is ticker Volt. Is it ticker TEME? There is no TEME, so this must be it. So, okay. Thank you, Robert. So we're still at over 98,000 for Bitcoin. So we're going to see. And I want to look at some technicals too, because I think there's a really good setup coming here. And, you know, you got to look at everything. The technicals alone can be wrong just as much as they can be right. And you can find absolutely conflicting information. If you look at every single technical analysis data point, you will find conflicting information. One thing telling you one thing telling you another. Sometimes that's because it's time frames. Certain things are going to happen in a short term. Certain things are going to happen over a longer term. But I'm going to go to the 1 day and tell you guys a couple of things that I think are really, really important. On the members only, we talked about the fact that we lost the 50-day simple moving average. And I said, we really need to get it back quickly, because if we don't, and I showed an example where we lost it for a few days and got it right back. Other than that, you know, we could be in for a month or 2 months under that moving average. Those have been kind of bearish times. But look how fast yesterday we got back above our 50-day moving average, and today we're basically opening and closing above the 50-day simple moving average. So I think that was an important thing to recapture. That is definitely very bullish. You can see, to me, it looks like we bottomed out on the daily RSI, right? We were as high as back in November. We were at almost 85 on the daily RSI. It's been trending down, and you know, we got all the way down to 41. And you can see, you know, since we've entered this bull market, that's been a pretty good spot. We got down to 43 back in October of 2024. Yeah, sometimes we do reset all the way. 30 is a full reset. We've even gone below that. So, you know, it could, but it's jumped up from, you know, from 41. We're now at almost 55. And if I draw a line here, right from here, we want to see if we can close at a higher high. That would be a good sign, right? Because we peaked over here on December 25th, and then we pulled back again. So if we could close, you know, really, this line is straight, and it looks like we're going to have a higher high today. Now, just barely, and, you know, that's not total verification, but to me, we got the 50 moving day average back. The RSI looks like it's moving in the right direction. And the MACD, you can see the histogram if I make this bigger. You can see we're finally headed towards, and we've been fooled before. We got a fake out. We got a bullish crossover in the middle of December. And then we tanked from there. But we've gone all the way back through the cycle, bottomed out, and it looks to me like we are headed in the direction of another bullish crossover. So if we could get that, we've got a lot of room left on the RSI. So to me, there's some technical things that look like there's certainly the opportunity for Bitcoin to continue to run right now. So, like I said, having said all that, that's just 3 different data points among many, many, many data points. So, you know, just you got to look at everything. There was this head and shoulders pattern that people were trying to say existed. I think we're about to nullify that pattern. I think it was a weak attempt at trying to see something that really wasn't there, but we're getting ready to nullify that head and shoulders pattern with the last 4 days of green. So I'm feeling positive coming into this year. I feel like things are moving in the right direction. We see a lot of very big call outs for Bitcoin as far as their cycle high. But what was particular? Go ahead, George.
Is it worth mentioning about Plan B or no, not really?
You know, Plan B is all over the place. How many of you? Let's just do a super quick poll.
Super quick poll.
Because if everybody's already written him off and ignoring him, we don't really need to talk about it.
It's funny, he can be so wrong and have such a following.
So I'm just going to do a quick. Do you watch or follow Plan B on YouTube? I watch his videos from time to time, and to me, the stock to flow model that he's got several different models, but the stock to flow model is the one that made him famous. And every time I see him interpret that, it's like somebody took over his body and it's a different a different person giving a completely different interpretation. That's my
Every single
opinion.
time?
Well, now we just had a video where he thinks, in 2028, the cycle high could be $500,000. Well, he was saying that 2 months ago. He was predicting that this cycle was going to be the median target range for the 2024 halving was $500,000. And he said, plus or minus, it could be as low as 250,000 and it could be as high as $1 million. So I just feel like he's all over the place. I'm not going to spend too much time because it looks like most people don't talk about this. And hey, listen, I don't watch every one of his videos. Maybe he's explained his way from one opinion all the way to the next had I watched all the ones in between. I don't know. But I've always felt like that plan is so generic. You could just, if you believe it works, then for you it works. And if you don't, then it doesn't. So I'll end that poll. It looks like almost 80% are no longer paying attention to Plan B. At least in this group. Aha, thank you, everybody. We've gotten to 100 likes. If you just got here or if you have not yet, hit the like button. If you would be so kind, it does help the stream out in real time. It is much appreciated. Let's get people over here talking about, looking at Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners. And I'll throw MicroStrategy in there because they're unofficial. They are clearly a direct play on Bitcoin. So, when we're talking about ways to invest in Bitcoin, and obviously the ETFs as well. So I haven't gotten to those. Let's just take a quick look because something did happen. So this is something that I would say I don't like. The first half of December and really the last half of November, BlackRock was buying Bitcoin like it was running out. They were posting numbers. You can see 418 million on December 16th, 741 million on December 17th, 359 million on December 18th. And then they had a zero. And then they had a red day for the first time in a long, long, long time. On Christmas Eve, they had a really red day, minus 188. Yesterday, they had their biggest outflow, I think, in the history of the ETF. $332 million outflow. And you can see everybody else was pretty neutral. Yes, Grayscale a little bit leaves every day. That's a trickle now at this point. But everybody else was either at zero or positive, and Grayscale was dumping. So, and I understand it's their ETF, it's their clients, it's their customers. It's not necessarily them, but obviously, as a lot of their high wealth individuals look to them for investment advice and managing their investments. So I don't like to see BlackRock bailing. So I'm hoping that was a one-off and they start buying back in. Bitcoin was up today, but again, it was up, 1.07%. So it's not like it was up dramatically. But listen, we've been moving. If we look at the daily, if we go back here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 green days in a row. That's a nice run. And again, that run recaptured the 50-day simple moving average. We're back over 98,000. We got as low as 91,271 on Monday. So today's Friday. So we got that's just on inside of the weekdays this week. We went from 91 to 98. And we did pop up almost to 99. So this has been very nice momentum. Things are definitely moving the right way. And I think we just looked at three things from a technical standpoint on the 1-day time chart that to me look like we should keep having momentum. Now, we had a low volume day on some of these. We had an average volume day. So if I go to Marathon, right, Marathon traded 45 million. 59 million is their average, but if I go to their historical data, you can see all this time around Christmas. So today is almost a return to normal because these couple of weeks, 28 million, 20 million, 22 million, this is really, these Bitcoin miners have been trading on very low volume. Today was a move back, a step back in the right direction, a lot closer to average volume. And then, as somebody pointed out, if we look at Riot, they actually were way above their average volume. So I think the algorithms kicked in as this continued to pick up steam. You know, it ended up 18%. And that was a steady move up all day here into the close. So they closed very near they closed at $12.31. Their high on the day was $12.39. Their low on the day was $10.45. So this was a very big up day. And this day started slow. You can see that's the open right there. So in pre-market, everything was zero. And it was. All the Bitcoin miners were plus or minus 1% in pre-market. But then the market opened and things started to happen. And by, an hour and a half into the market open, it was clear things were going the right way today. However, it wouldn't be the first day things switched up in the middle of the day. So, it's always interesting. You can never stop watching. Ernest said hello from Canada. Hello, Ernest. Hello from America. Hello to everybody. You guys can drop in the chat if you're from wherever you are from around the world. George and I are from the U.S.
We're from a land down under.
Oh, and Bitcoin to 150 said Hive was way above average volume too. So let's take a look at that. Hive was double their average volume. So that's a nice move. And they had a nice move. Hive was a leader yesterday. I think it was the highest performer on the day yesterday. So, it didn't do quite as well as some of the others today, but up 7% on really high volume. So let's take a look at the new year. This is the week. So this is from last Friday to this Friday. So this is our normal chart. Hello from Thailand. Pogo said nothing can stop Hive. Yeah, I feel good about Hive. I'm a little disappointed I don't own a position in it. I don't know if I have room left to open another position, but I do really like what I'm seeing from them.
Well, thanks to Tom's information, I got into Hive.
Oh, on our members only video, you right there during the stream, you jumped into Hive.
Yep. I mean, it just, when you hear that type of information, how can you miss it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think people are overlooking them and they're going to get their turn. And that's kind of how I'm talking about it. Companies are getting their turn one at a time. So this is the week over week. So you can see, if you look at it from a 1 week standpoint, this looks good. Bitcoin was up 4%. All the Bitcoin miners beat it. Some of them were triple. Some of them were quadruple. But really, I'm going to break it down even further than that. If I do year to date, So that's just Thursday and Friday. The last thing we looked at was Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday was a holiday, Thursday, Friday. So Monday, Tuesday in 2024, like the rest of 2024, was awful. Thursday, Friday, you've got Bitcoin up 5%. Riot's up 21%, BitDeer's up 20%, Cypher's up 20%, 18, 17, 17, 16, 15, 15. 10 of our 12 Bitcoin miners had a 3x leverage to the upside off of Bitcoin. Those are the good old days. That's what we used to, target. These are high risk investments. So they're highly volatile, they're high risk, so you're looking for high reward. Now, this is only 2 days, so obviously we're 2 days into the year. I'm not going to extrapolate this out to the end of the year, but I also find it interesting. TeraWulf and Core Scientific were basically double Bitcoin, but they were the laggers. TeraWulf and Core Scientific were the two best performing Bitcoin mining stocks of the year in 2024. So I don't think I don't think this is a sign that it's a disaster. They're just so far ahead of everybody else that, in these first 2 days, some of these others did some catching up. And it's encouraging to see. I mean, this is 2 days. These are giant moves. And we've been seeing the opposite of this. So I'll show you the month of December. December was, with one exception, just a train wreck for the Bitcoin miners. So can anybody guess who was the best Bitcoin miner in December? So you see, Bitcoin was down 4% in the month of December. BitDeer was up 52%. BitDeer has been on an absolute tear. That notwithstanding, the other 11 Bitcoin miners in the month of December, while Bitcoin was down 4%, forget a 2x leverage or a 3x leverage, these were down between 19 and 39%. Marathon, the largest company by market cap, a company that, in my opinion, is, doing, they're leading in almost every category. And they got decimated in December, down 39%. Cleanspark down 36%. Bitfarms down 31%. We'll see when we look at the year of 2024. They finished in last place for the year. But December was a train wreck. November was okay. It was December, and it was really the last half of December was an absolute train wreck. And I don't know if that was tax loss harvesting. I don't know what that was, but we got wiped. So that's why after I felt like I really should have been done averaging in, I did a lot of dollar cost averaging in when I thought I was really done. But you can see, if you own Marathon and it's down 39% in the month, to me, they were giving it away. To me, they were giving Cleanspark away. They were giving Bitfarms away. Again, this is just my opinion. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But those are huge dips to be able to buy on. So, December was a wreck. Let's look at the year. So this was the year 2024. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Bitcoin miners were down in the year 2024. A year Bitcoin was up over 120%. So again, we got Core Scientific and TeraWulf. These were the two we talked about that were the leaders. BitDeer, with its insane run in December, up 52% in December. BitDeer almost caught up to these guys. So you've got three that were competing with Bitcoin. So I would submit, and then I'm going to go way back in time. If we go to 2023, Bitcoin was up 154%. So the first thing worth noting, this is 2 years in a row. In 2023, Bitcoin was up over 150%. In 2024, Bitcoin was up over 120%. And that's on top of the 150%, remember. So that is big, big movements. But the Bitcoin miners rallied off of their 2022 was a nightmare. I won't go back there. But you can see a lot of these were up 400, 500, 600%. Core Scientific was down to 4 cents at one point. They were up 1,800%. they're off the charts at this point. If you held through all of that, which I didn't, and George told me to, at 4 cents, I think on a live stream, we kind of had a discussion. For 4 cents, why not just buy some?
Yeah,
see what
Tom
happens.
got the second time Tom got me. First it was Bitcoin. Then it was this.
Now I've added a new thing. So I think we should track this because this I think is worth tracking all the way to the end of the bull market. This is that cycle low to now. So I took every single Bitcoin miner's low during the crypto winter, and I've measured their progress from that day to this day against Bitcoin. So when we look at it that way, and really most of these were in the last week of December. So essentially, this is the year 2023 and 2024 combined. So, those 2 years put together, things look like this. So I don't even have a number on Core Scientific because it was like 20,000%. But again, it got down to 4 cents. So obviously they outperformed Bitcoin. Cypher's up 1,300% in the last 2 years. TeraWulf's up over 1,000% in the last 2 years. Iron's up over 1,000% in the last 2 years. This is from the cycle lows. BitDeer up 842%. BitDigital 596. So 6 of these outperformed Bitcoin. Bitcoin up 536% from the bottom. And then you'll see 3 of these, really these 4, BitDeer, Marathon, CleanSpark, and HUT. This is 1 or 2 days worth of activity from being, the same. So, but that's underperformance. So Marathon's up 532%, and that's great. But it does represent underperformance when in the same period of time, Bitcoin's up 536%. So that's why I'm looking at really, BitDigital is a different story. I'm not even going to talk about that one right now. But Marathon, CleanSpark, HUT, Bitfarms, Riot, Hive. Hive, we talked about this earlier. So here's the chart. Hive is up 143% in the time that Bitcoin's up 536%. So either Hive has failed or it's got a nice run ahead of it. That's the question, right? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Is its performance deserving of being trailing Bitcoin so drastically when you can see there's others? This is up 143% while Cypher's up 1,300%. So it's not like there weren't winners. So this, I think, is what we should follow. From the low to the end of the peak of this bull run, it would be nice to see all the Bitcoin miners start to do what they're supposed to do, which is beat Bitcoin and beat it dramatically. Some of them are already doing that, but you'll see really 7 of them aren't. So I look at those 7, and it's not just those 7, right? I think a lot of these are going to keep running as well. I think Iron has a lot of room left to run. Cypher, if you look at Cypher, and I don't own Cypher, so they had almost average volume today. Cypher's only a $1.9 billion company right now. So I think there's lots of room left for them to keep running. I'm trying to add as many charts as I possibly can, and this one was somebody that at least one of our members recommended that I do the cycle low versus the current price, because that's the real test, because I had pointed out, even though Marathon is down 29% in 2024, it had a huge 2023. So if you put them together, it's pretty close to Bitcoin, and you'll see, like, this looks like a disaster, and it is, right? 2024, if you held Marathon or CleanSpark or BitDigital or Riot or Hive or Bitfarms, this was a really bad year, and I held a bunch of these. So I know. Having said that, I actually dollar cost averaged in. There was a lot of buying opportunities, in my opinion. Now, if they don't run, then they weren't buying opportunities, but I expect them to run. But you can see the difference. You've got CleanSpark down 17% versus Bitcoin's 122%. You've got Marathon down 29% versus Bitcoin's 122%. But if you go from the very bottom, you know, Marathon and Bitcoin are almost identical. Marathon and CleanSpark are almost identical. So that doesn't make the pain any less for the last 12 months, right? The last 12 months for the Bitcoin miners, they just weren't good. These are not this is not where I expected the Bitcoin miners to be with Bitcoin up 122%, with Bitcoin, you know, hitting $100,000. So to me, they have an awful lot of ground to make up, in my opinion. What are you thinking, George?
I'm not thinking much, Tom. I'm just enjoying the great year of investing last year. Looking forward to another great year. You know,
I'm going to do it. I'm
just
going to
trying to stay even Steven.
Okay, we're going to do a quick poll here.
Hoping soldiers don't keep shooting people.
Yeah, that's more important than all this. Which will perform best in 2025? So I put three choices: Bitcoin, the Bitcoin miners, and I'm considering MicroStrategy its own thing because it is a unique thing. The ETFs I didn't put as a choice because the ETFs are basically going to be one-to-one what Bitcoin does. So whether you're investing through Bitcoin by buying it itself or by buying the ETF, that would be the same answer. The Bitcoin miners are doing their thing, and then MicroStrategy does its own thing. Now, MicroStrategy, I will tell you, was the winner in 2024. While the best Bitcoin miner was only up 153%, hard to tell because the year changed, but MicroStrategy was up well over 300%. At one point, it was up over 500%. So it did double the next best closest thing out of the Bitcoin miners. So in 2024,
You good?
the answer to this was MicroStrategy. The question is, what is it going to be in 2025?
It could be what? You think it'll be over 100%, Tom?
The move, what? The move up in these?
Yeah. No, in MicroStrategy.
I'm expecting MicroStrategy to at least double. Absolutely. I think it should more than double. Now, remember, our underlying principle is I believe that Bitcoin is going to finish out this 4-year cycle, have a bull run. For a long time, my target for this cycle was 150,000. A couple of months ago, I moved that up to 175,000. So again, not financial advice. And let's be honest, we're all just guessing. But I think Bitcoin's going to get to 175,000. And most of the predictions that I've seen are above my prediction. So I don't feel like I'm going out on a limb. Where did those? So we see a 225,000 price target. I've seen 225, I've seen 250, I've seen 175, I've seen 180,000. I've seen some people get crazy, you know, in the $400,000, $500,000 range. I do believe that's unrealistic. Now, having said that, in the land of cryptocurrency, who knows? But I will have long since taken profits. If it runs to 500 in this cycle, you know, I'm going to keep a little bit of everything. But if it runs to 500, I will have been taking profits long before that point in time. You know, and obviously some of this I plan on holding forever. We'll see what
Forever,
happens.
ever?
It's the Michael Saylor strategy. He's buy and hold. MicroStrategy is not going to sell any Bitcoin unless something catastrophic happens to Bitcoin and they are forced to. They're not going to sell any Bitcoin for the next 20 years. Sourmelon Gaming saying 2024 was the year for MicroStrategy. 2025 is the year for the Bitcoin miners. So I do think my answer to this is I think the Bitcoin miners will outperform MicroStrategy, but that is only because of their absolutely horrible performance in 2024. They have a lot more room to the upside. I did open a position in MicroStrategy because I think it has huge room to the upside. So, I don't think it's going to be lagging behind, but I do tend to think some of these Bitcoin miners, I think the manipulation was massive with the Bitcoin miners in 2024. And, for companies, for Marathon to do what they did in 2024 and be down 29%. For Cleanspark, I think all 12 of their monthly operational reports were fantastic, a B or an A, and they were down 17% on the year. They hit or beat every target they set. They, in the course of a year and a half, went from 500 Bitcoin on their balance sheet to almost 10,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And that's not from buying any, that's just from holding them.
Tom, do you think, as going forward in the next few months, do you think money will rotate out of, let's say, Wolf and Core into Marathon and Riot and Hive and Bitfarms?
I don't know if there'll be a little bit of that. Some people are going to take profits because they've done better. But I think even Core Scientific and TeraWulf, I think, are going to go up in 2025, right? They were the two best performers in 2024. I'm a lot more confident about Core Scientific. That's my personal opinion. TeraWulf ran to a place that a little bit doesn't make sense to me. Having said that, these are all so undervalued that it will probably still keep going up from here. I mean, I base that off of, if you go to this chart, TeraWulf mined 115 Bitcoin in November. Now, a caveat to that is they sold a portion of their Bitcoin mining facilities. So they were down 15% in October. They were down 23% in November. I think that was the bottom. They'll turn around from there. But 115 versus, their market cap versus a Cleanspark, which is mining 622 Bitcoin. Versus a Bitfarms. Their market cap's probably triple Bitfarms, and Bitfarms mined almost double the Bitcoin. And I understand there's other factors. All companies are not created equal. All of these companies have different infrastructure. They have different power purchase agreements. They have different HODL strategies. Some of them are in the high performance computing AI space. Others are not at all. So, these 12 companies are 12 unique companies, even though, the one thread they have is, other than Bit Digital, which I'm considering taking off the list, the rest of these companies, the primary thing that they do is mine Bitcoin. Edmund thinks that those who pick the Bitcoin miners are taking too much risk. I mean, the Bitcoin miners have always been a high risk, high reward equation. And there's obviously in those scenarios, there is no guarantee you're going to get that reward. Cleanspark tripled their exahash in 2024. I mean, look what Marathon's at 53 exahash, 53.2 exahash. And off of that, their stock was down 29% on the year. Marathon has more Bitcoin than any other Bitcoin miner. They have more operational and it's not even close, by the way. It's triple. They have more operational exahash, and it's 50% more than the next closest. They mine more Bitcoin, and it's 50% more than the next closest. I mean, they're not even my favorite Bitcoin miner. They're not my number one, but I think I see them as ridiculously undervalued based on all of those things. And I will say, and I hope that, you know, if we were of some help, then that would be nice. I'm going to show you guys something. So we track everything monthly. And joules per terahash is a new chart that I'm having, because very slowly over 2024, people started to report this. So I did say in last month's video, Marathon, BitDeer, and BitDigital are still not reporting their joules per terahash for their fleet. I hope that they will do that in December. Now, by no means do I think that they did that because they were listening to me, but as a matter of coincidence, Marathon did put their joules per terahash for their fleet into their December operational report. And by the way, it is a good number. Management commentary. In December, we surpassed, so this is Marathon. This came out today. In December, we surpassed our year-end hash rate target of 50 exahash. They got to 53. So their target of 50 at the beginning of this year sounded like crazy time, and they beat it. They got to 53. And our fleet efficiency to 20 joules per terahash. So that is the first time they've reported that in their monthly operational report. So once everybody else reports and I get to do my month of December, you can see they're going to be down near the bottom of this list. They'd be Iron, CleanSpark, TeraWolf, and then Marathon. And you would guess Marathon, you know, I'm glad they reported that, because I assumed two things: that because they already had a big fleet coming into the year, and because they weren't telling us the number, I do what most investors do, which is assume the worst. That, you know, it's not a good number. They're not showing us because it's not a good number. But you know what? It is a good number. 20 is a good number. 20 joules per terahash, highly efficient, 53 exahash of hash rate, and they're mining approximately 900 Bitcoin a month. And oh, by the way, they bought 22,000 Bitcoin in 2024. So they added 31,000 Bitcoin to their hodl in 2024.
Do 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 do.
In 2024, we acquired 22,065 Bitcoin at an average of $87,205. So they paid for their Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin's a lot higher than that now, and we think it's going to go a lot higher. And they mined 9,457. That was first place by a mile. Our year-end Bitcoin yield per diluted share was 62.7%. This is a new calculation that everybody's doing. Overall now, a total of 44,893 Bitcoin, valued at $4.2 billion. So their Bitcoin is $4.2 billion, and their market cap is $6.6 billion. So to me, that's just out of whack. And by the way, their Bitcoin isn't the only thing they have. They have the energy infrastructure, and they have the Bitcoin mining machines of 53 exahash. There's a lot of value in that. Mm-hmm. And this is a company, they're not done, but they've made great strides. They were an asset-light company. At first, they were having all their machines hosted. I think they expect by the end of 2025, they'll have none of their machines hosted by others, and they will be fully vertically integrated. So that was a big transition for them that they did mostly in 2024 as well. So I view that as a very good operational update. And the only other operational update that we got was Bitfarms. So I'm trying to view this two ways. Bitfarms had promised, for 10 and a half months, they said they were going to get to 21 exahash by the end of the year. And they did not do that. They did not even do close to that. So they missed their target substantially. They are now expecting to get to 21 exahash in the first half of 2025. So I think, number one, investors are in a I'll believe it when I see it kind of a mood, because I'm going to go back to this chart. Bitfarms was down almost 50% in 2024. Investors ran from Bitfarm like they had the plague. So this was the worst performing Bitcoin mining stock in the year by a lot. And I think it had everything to do with, it had a huge pullback after they announced they weren't going to get to their 21 exahash. So their stock that is priced into their stock. They have paid for that miss. But on the other side, they did increase their hash rate by 97%. So they almost doubled their hash rate as a company. So, you got to look at this both ways. Yes, they missed their target by a lot, but they did double their exahash. It's not like they did nothing all year. And by the way, while they doubled their exahash, they improved their efficiency by 40%. So they swapped out a lot of machines in their fleet as well. So they're now 21, they're saying watts per terahash. So that's a 40% improvement in efficiency while doubling their fleet. So when you look back at the year, yes, is it a big disappointment? And does it give us a question mark with Bitfarms management as to are they going to do what they say they're going to do? Yes, they missed their target. So now we need to see over the next 3, 4, 5 months, are they going to move towards that target? Because if this is the better late than never scenario that a couple of other companies went through. Some companies were ahead of schedule. Iron stayed ahead of schedule by and large for the most part on their growth. CleanSpark stayed ahead of schedule by and large. Riot got stuck in the mud and fell behind. Marathon in 2022 fell unbelievably behind. So Bitfarms is now behind. They need to catch up, I believe, for their stock to run the way it's supposed to run. But good things did happen this year, right? They doubled their fleet. They increased the efficiency by 42%. They expect this Stronghold merger to close in Q1 of 2025. So they still have some hurdles to jump, one of which is still the Stronghold investors have not voted on this. The board voted unanimously on this merger, but the stockholders have not voted on this yet. So with a few hurdles to jump, they'll get to add that into their world. And we'll see if they get to their 21 exahash. But I think this stock has been overly punished for, they had a lot of problems. They had a shakeup. They had a potential hostile takeover. They got rid of their CEO in a very unbecoming way. It went from parting on good terms to being fired and the former CEO suing them for millions of dollars. They've had changes on the board of directors. They've added board members. They've fired board members. So it was a tumultuous year for Bitfarms. But I think they came out of it in a good spot. And so CEO Ben Gagnon stated, 2024 was a transformative year for Bitfarms. While we did not meet our original growth targets, we accomplished a tremendous amount during the year. We doubled our hash rate and improved efficiency by 40%, upgraded 11 data centers, increased active megawatts by 35%, revamped and strengthened our board of directors and management team, assumed control of our first U.S. large-scale site in Sharon, Pennsylvania, with access to 120 megawatts. And this is an area they're looking to do. So one thing I will say we neglected to talk about with Hive, because it was in the previous press release, Hive is moving their domicile from Canada to the United States. So Hut already did that. They went from Canada to the United States. Hive has now announced they're going from Canada to the United States. If you read between the lines, and I may be wrong, but they talk about the United States in their investor presentation very heavily. They talk about going from 6% of their fleet in the United States to 66% of their fleet in the United States over a 2-year period. So I believe it won't be long. I think they want to close this stronghold deal. And again, this is just my opinion. I have no knowledge of this. I think they want to close this stronghold deal. And then I think they're going to announce that they're going to move to the United States, because they've talked about how they've dramatically increased and have plans to continue to decrease their fleet in Canada and increase their fleet in the United States. So I think that's what's coming. And kudos to George, who's been talking about this for all these Canadian companies for the last 2 years.
Yeah, those Canadians don't understand the money's down here. There's only like 20 million people in Canada.
I think there's 40 million people in Canada.
Okay, then they just doubled. I think most of them leave and live in Florida.
Well, I can vouch for the fact that there's a lot of snowbirds that come to Florida
I think
from
they're
Canada.
making a great 51st state, though.
Pogo saying, leave Canada, Bitfarms. Make USA your place of residence so you can get more love. And it's just...
Amen to that.
It's just the talking points that Hive came out and said. This is where the capital is. You know, a lot of institutional money just isn't going to invest in a company that's not domiciled in the United States. So there were really 3 large Bitcoin mining companies in Canada.
Well,
2 of those 3 have already, one moved, one's told us they're going to move. Bitfarms is the last domino to fall.
Well, and not only that, Tom, what did this new president just say? He didn't just say Bitcoin. He said crypto. He said that we're going to make the United States the most friendliest crypto country out there.
That's right. The talking points from the campaign, including creating a Bitcoin reserve of 1 million Bitcoin. So we'll see. Right?
Minimum.
Right, minimum. So none of that's happened yet, but there's reason to believe that that will happen. And there's certainly, we see them bringing in every position that they can, people that are much more crypto friendly than the previous administration. And I think we got fooled with Gary Gensler, because if you guys remember,
I think he was a shill.
Before he came in, there was some excitement because he was very knowledgeable on cryptocurrency. And there was a feeling that, good, there's going to be somebody at the SEC that understands how this works. But then he got there, and he was the most anti-cryptocurrency. He was just straight out. He basically sued every exchange that tried to set up shop in the United States, a lot of those that weren't even in the United States. He came after certain blockchains in specific. I mean, this was a very crypto unfriendly environment we've just gone through.
Do you think there is still room for another crypto exchange?
I mean, to be one of the big ones, I think we've got some big crypto exchanges that have established themselves. They have first mover advantage, and they'll probably,
Do you think they're going to start going away?
I think some of the smaller ones will start falling by the wayside, and maybe some new ones will pop up. If we had some clear regulations, I think you'd see a lot more people be interested. Oh, by the way, this administration is talking about letting the banks hold cryptocurrency for their customers. That would be a monumental shift.
Thanks, Sauer. I lost 15 pounds. Dude, I was dying. I was dying. All the chicken wings I was eating.
I gotta admit, I eat my chicken wings during the football game. You just said it. I can't help myself.
Long live Sue Penis. I mean Enos. Ennis.
George.
Sorry. Beep. He wrote it. You miss one letter.
Details matter. So let's close this poll. Which will perform best in 2025? Bitcoin, 12% of the people said Bitcoin. 22% of the people said MicroStrategy, and 65% of the people said the Bitcoin miners will be the best performer in 2025. Now, take in context to that probably most of us think all three of these are going to do well. So that would be my 2 cents. I do think the Bitcoin miners are going to outperform, particularly the few that I've mentioned that have huge hodl positions, that have had monumental growth, dramatic increases in their efficiency. You're going to see companies, and I'm going to do for the members some pro formas for what I expect to see in the fourth quarter of 2024. And in 2025, I think all 4 quarters, you could have companies, making significant gap income, right? We were to the point, we've at various stages with our crypto companies. At one point, they were all the way to forget even having positive EBITDA. They were negative cash flow. They were spending more than it was to mine a Bitcoin at one point at the very bottom of the crypto winter. Well, now, we've flipped that dramatically. These companies that we're following are making a lot of gross profit with Bitcoin at $98,000. They're having very nice gross profit. And if Bitcoin goes up substantially, obviously that'll get even better. But in addition to that, they're going to get the new gap rules. So those that have hodled are going to get to write their Bitcoin up. You're going to see these companies have the best. 2025 is going to be the best year, in my opinion, for most of these Bitcoin miners in their history, and it won't even be close. It will be by a mile. That is my opinion, obviously not financial advice. So I just don't think in the best year that these companies have ever had that their stock is going to have their worst performance. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, I had something for you, Tom. Oh, the thing that I'm looking forward to, and I'm praying that someone does it in the government, is they open up the bankruptcy of FTX and make it public.
Oh, boy.
Because there is no reason that should have been not public.
Well, there's probably a lot of information in there. Certain people don't want anybody to know.
I know, but I bet you that's a list that's going to come out. That's just wrong. And I think that will tell the stories.
Sour Melon Gaming is saying Trump needs to fire Jerome Powell. So there's that argument going on. Jerome Powell pointed out that technically the president can't fire Jerome Powell. Now, we'll see. We'll see. Right. We'll see what happens. There's all different kinds of ways to play that game.
You. But remember your paycheck? You ain't getting one.
So the other thing is Jerome Powell's going to. So this is my opinion as well. We're going to get all of our rate cuts in 2025. I know he just came out, and to his credit, now, since the election, I think he's been very political. He's said a few political things. He's talked about the president can't fire me. He said the Federal Reserve won't buy Bitcoin. So he's starting to weigh in on things. But I will say, prior to the election, I think he really did a good job of staying completely out of politics. And that is exactly what he should be doing. I'm not saying I'm a gigantic Jerome Powell fan. I think he was a little late on his rate cuts. And now him talking about, the market pricing in 1 or 2 rate cuts, I just don't think there's any chance that's going to happen. I think we're going to get at least 75 basis points in rate cuts in 2025. The 20-year mortgages, 20-year bonds, mortgage rates, they're all going up right now because of what Jerome Powell is saying. Nobody thinks that these interest rates are going to stick. But I believe that mainly due to the debt and some other reasons, they are forced into the remainder of, and I think the environment is going to allow them to do the rest of their rate cuts. So I think they're going to do the same 3 rate cuts that we thought they were going to do in 2025, even though they just tried to spook us in the last meeting. That's my opinion. Edmund saying, question, with FASB, will Iron start to hodl some Bitcoin? So it is a mystery to me why companies like Iron hodl 0 Bitcoin. That's the only company that I own that doesn't hodl Bitcoin. Because I do think they operate at a very high level. Their growth is off the charts. They grew more than anybody in 2024 as a percentage. But it mystifies me why they have no Bitcoin. So I'm not sure. That's a good question, Edmund. There's several companies that don't hodl Bitcoin. So I don't really understand that part of the equation. But there must be some people that prefer that, or they wouldn't be doing it. Let's go back.
Any good plans tonight?
Big plans. Big Friday night. No. No, but it is that time. So let's revisit. We're at 98,200.
Look at Doge. Look at Doge before you go, Tom.
Let's go look at Doge. Let me refresh this screen to make sure. So Doge is up 13% today, 23% this week.
And I will tell you that I am a partaker of owning the Doge coin.
You called this. I will give you that.
Doge. Wish I had more, but I don't.
Well, we all always wish we had more. Let's be happy with what we have. Let's be happy. Let's take the win today. This comes on a Friday. We get all weekend to bask in the fact that the Bitcoin miners were off to the races today. With Bitcoin up just 1%. Most of the Bitcoin miners were up double digits. Riot and Bit Digital were up 18%. They were the winners on the day. And not to say, Marathon, the biggest by market cap, up 14%. CleanSpark, one of the biggest by market cap, up 14%. So, a very, very good day all around for the Bitcoin miners, for Microstrategy, which was up 13% as well. And Bitcoin was just fine, up 1%. And it's been moving up every day, 4 days in a row. So we'll take this slow, steady growth. And I'm hoping it's the start of the next run to take out our previous all-time high at 108,000.
Well, Tom, I got to sneak out. I'll see you guys.
All right, George, have a good weekend. Thanks for joining us. I'm basically just wrapping it up myself right now. So thank you, everybody, for joining us on the live stream and supporting the channel. Thanks for smashing the like button. If you haven't, it does still help us if you smash the like button, so it is much appreciated. Also, if you're interested in Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners and you're not yet subscribed, consider hitting the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. And special thanks to all the members for your support over the years, some of you. So thanks very much, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend. We will see the members on the Tuesday members only live stream. And we are here every Friday for everybody live. So hope to see you guys next week.